He is holding a shoe like a weapon. He is screaming. His face is red with rage. Most people would run away. Most people would call the police. Most people would hate him forever. But the woman on the floor? She didn't run. And what she did next? Well, it shocked everyone in that room. It even shocked the billionaire himself. This is the story of Arthur Sterling. He had billions of dollars, but he had a heart of stone. And this is Maya. She had nothing, but she held a secret that would change his life forever. Stick around, because you need to see how this ends. Before we continue, let us know in the comments section, what time is it and where are you watching from? And remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the story. Now let's continue. Everyone knew about the Sterling mansion. People in town whispered about it. They said the house ate people alive. Not literally, of course. But nobody lasted more than a week working for Arthur Sterling. He was old, he was rich, and he was mean. The mansion sat on top of a hill like a crown. It had 32 rooms, it had marble floors, it had paintings worth millions of dollars hanging on the walls, but it had no warmth, no laughter, no life. If his coffee was too hot, he fired the chef. If there was a speck of dust on his piano, he fired the cleaner. He didn't just fire them, he yelled at them until they cried. The gardener quit after 2 days. Arthur screamed at him because one rose petal fell on the driveway. The cook lasted 4 days. She left in tears after Arthur threw a plate of eggs at the wall because they were too runny. The town employment office stopped sending people. They were tired of getting sobbing phone calls. Then came Maya. Maya didn't want to work there. She was scared just like everyone else. But she had no choice. Her little brother Leo was sick. He was only 9 years old. He had a rare blood condition that made him weak and tired. The medicine he needed cost $800 a month. That was more than Maya's rent and groceries combined. Their parents had died in a fire 3 years ago. Maya raised Leo alone. She worked 2 jobs. She cleaned offices at night. She served coffee in the morning. But it still wasn't enough. When Leo's doctor said he needed stronger medicine that cost even more, Maya broke down in the hospital parking lot. She sat in her old car and cried. That's when she saw the job posting on her phone. The Sterling mansion was looking for a live-in maid. The pay was 3 times what she made at both her jobs combined. Maya knew the stories. She knew about the people who left crying. But when she looked at Leo's pale face in the back seat, she made her choice. She would walk into the lion's den. For him. So on her first day, she took a deep breath. She put on her gray uniform. She walked into the lion's den. The mansion was colder inside than it looked outside. The floors were shiny, but they felt empty. The walls were tall, but they felt like a prison. The other staff members looked at her with pity. There were only 3 left: James, the butler, Mrs. Chen, the cook, and Marcus, the driver. They had survived because they learned the rules. Stay invisible, never argue, never look him in the eye. The butler, a kind man named James, whispered to her in the hallway. Keep your head down, James said quietly. Do not look him in the eye, and never ever touch the door on the 2nd floor. Which door? Maya asked. James pointed up the grand staircase. The one at the end of the hall with the white paint. It's always locked. He doesn't want anyone near it. Maya nodded. What's inside? James shook his head. Nobody knows, but one girl tried to peek through the keyhole last year. She was fired in 10 minutes. Maya swallowed hard. I understand. She was ready to work hard. She scrubbed the floors until her knees hurt. She polished the silver until she could see her reflection. She dusted the curtains and cleaned the windows. She was invisible. For 3 days, everything was fine. Arthur Sterling barely noticed her. He sat in his office all day, working on his computer or talking on the phone. His voice was always sharp, always impatient. Maya only saw him at dinner time, when she brought his food to the dining room. He never said thank you. He never even looked at her. But on the 4th day, Maya made a mistake. A tiny accident. Maya was dusting the dining room. She was careful. She moved slowly around the table, lifting each item, wiping underneath, and putting it back exactly where it was. But when she reached for the candlestick, her elbow bumped a small silver spoon. It fell to the floor with a loud clang. It was just a spoon. It didn't break. It didn't even get a scratch. It just made a noise. But in the silence of the Sterling mansion, That noise sounded like a gunshot. Maya's heart stopped. She quickly bent down to pick it up, and that's when she heard the footsteps, heavy, fast, angry. Suddenly, the heavy doors flew open. They slammed against the wall so hard the paintings shook. Arthur Sterling stormed in. He was tall. His gray hair was messy. His suit was expensive, but wrinkled. His eyes were wild. "Who did that?" Arthur roared. His voice shook the walls. Maya froze. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She held the spoon in her shaking hand. I'm sorry, sir. It was an accident." Arthur didn't care about accidents. He marched over to her like a storm. He looked like a giant. She looked like a mouse. He had been sitting in his study with his shoes off. In his rage, he grabbed his slipper from the side table. He had taken it off to relax, and he raised it in the air. He didn't hit her, but the threat was there, hanging in the air like thunder. He wanted her to fear him. He wanted her to know her place. "You clumsy, useless girl," he screamed. His face turned red. Veins bulged in his neck. "Do you know how much this house costs? Do you know who I am? Do you have any idea how valuable everything in here is?" Maya dropped to her knees. Not because she was weak, but because she was begging for her brother's life. If she lost this job, Leo wouldn't get his medicine. He would get sicker. He might even die. "Please, sir," she whispered. Her voice cracked. "I'll clean it. I'll be more careful. Please don't fire me." Arthur laughed. It was a cruel, cold sound, like breaking glass. "Better?" he spat. "You think you can be better? You are nothing. You are dirt on my shoe. You are a waste of space. Get out. Get out of my house right now." The other staff watched in silence from the doorway. James, the butler, looked down at his shoes. Mrs. Chen, the cook, covered her mouth. Marcus turned away. Nobody moved. They were all too afraid of losing their paychecks. They all had families to feed too. "Let me ask you something quickly. If you saw this happening, what would you do? Would you jump in and help Maya, even if it meant losing your own job? Or would you stay quiet to protect your family? Let me know in the comments right now." "It's a tough choice, isn't it?" Maya trembled. Tears ran down her face. She knew she should leave. Her dignity screamed at her to run, to stand up and walk out with her head held high. But then she looked up. She looked past the angry face. She looked past the expensive suit and the raised slipper. She looked right into Arthur Sterling's eyes, and she saw something strange, something nobody else had ever noticed. He wasn't just angry. He was shaking too. His hands trembled. His eyes were red-rimmed, like he had been crying. He looked exhausted, hollow. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in 10 years. There were dark circles under his eyes. His cheeks were pale. His lips were pressed into a tight line, but they quivered slightly. This wasn't just anger. This was pain. Maya didn't stand up. She didn't run. Instead, she spoke. Her voice was soft but steady. "Sir, you are in pain." Arthur stopped mid-breath. His hand lowered slightly. "What did you say?" "You aren't mad about the spoon," Maya said gently. Her voice was calm now. "You are hurting. Someone hurt you very badly, and you never healed." The kitchen went silent. You could hear a pin drop. The clock on the wall ticked. Nobody spoke to Arthur Sterling like that. Ever. James gasped. Mrs. Chen's eyes went wide. Arthur's face turned purple. His whole body went stiff. For a moment, Maya thought he might actually hit her. "Get out," he whispered. His voice was low and dangerous. "Get out of my house, now." Maya stood up slowly. She brushed the dust off her knees. She nodded. "I will go, sir. But please, drink some water. Your hands are shaking. You need rest." She walked to the counter. She poured a glass of cold water from the pitcher. She placed it gently on the table in front of him. Then, without another word, she walked out the back door. She didn't look back. She was fired. It was over, or so she thought. Maya went home in tears. Her tiny apartment felt even smaller that night. She hugged her little brother Leo. He was lying on the couch, too weak to play. "Did you have a good day at work?" Leo asked with a small smile. Maya couldn't answer. She just held him tight and cried into his shoulder. "It's okay, Maya," Leo whispered. He patted her back like a little grown-up. "We'll be okay." You always figure it out. But Maya didn't know how this time. She had no backup plan, no savings, no other job lined up. That night, she stayed awake staring at the ceiling. She thought about Arthur Sterling. She thought about his shaking hands, his red eyes, his anger that felt more like despair. Why did she say that to him? Why didn't she just stay quiet and keep her job? But deep down, she knew. She saw herself in him. She saw what grief looked like when it turned into stone. The next morning, her phone rang. It was James, the butler. "Come back," James whispered urgently. "What? He fired me," Maya said. She sat up in bed. "He didn't sign the paperwork," James said. "Miss Maya, something strange happened. After you left, he just stopped. He's been sitting in his leather chair staring at the wall all night. He didn't eat dinner. He didn't go to bed. He just sat there, holding that glass of water you gave him." Maya's heart skipped. "What do you mean?" "I don't know," James admitted, "but we're short-staffed and there's so much work. Just come back. Sneak in through the side entrance. Work in the West Wing. If he sees you, hide. But please, we need help." Maya shouldn't have gone. It was crazy. It was risky. But she needed the money. And something in James's voice told her this was important. So she went back. Maya spent the whole morning cleaning rooms on the West Wing, far away from Arthur's office. She moved like a ghost. Silent, invisible. She was terrified he would find her. She dusted the guest bedrooms. She vacuumed the library. She cleaned windows in rooms that probably hadn't been opened in years. But then around noon, she found herself on the second floor. She found the door. The forbidden door with the white paint. It was slightly open, just a crack. That was strange. James said it was always locked. Curiosity is a dangerous thing. Maya knew the rules. Never touch the door. James had warned her on her first day, but she heard a sound coming from inside. It sounded like a broken music box. Plink, plonk, plink. The sound was sad, lonely, like a heartbeat. Maya's hand moved before her brain could stop it. She pushed the door open. She stepped inside. It was a girl's room, but it was frozen in time. There were posters of old bands on the wall, a boy band from the 2000s, a pop singer with big hair. The posters were faded and curling at the edges. There were trophies on the shelf, horse riding competitions, debate team, math awards. They were covered in a thin layer of dust. The bed was perfectly made, a pink and white quilt, stuffed animals lined up against the pillows. Everything was clean but untouched, like a museum. On the dresser sat a music box. It was shaped like a carousel. Little horses spun slowly, creaking. The music was broken, playing one note at a time. Plink, plonk, plink. And on the bed there was a photo frame. Maya walked closer, her heart pounding. She picked up the photo with trembling hands. It was a picture of Arthur Sterling. But he was different. He was younger, maybe in his 40s. His hair was dark. His face was relaxed. He was smiling, really smiling. His eyes were bright with joy. And he was hugging a teenage girl who looked just like him. She had his same nose, his same smile. She was wearing a graduation gown and holding a diploma. She looked so happy, so alive. "Get away from there!" Maya spun around so fast she almost dropped the frame. Arthur was standing in the doorway. But he wasn't angry this time. He wasn't holding a shoe. He was holding onto the door frame for support, like he might collapse. He looked old, frail, broken. I heard the music," Maya stammered. She carefully placed the photo back on the bed. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "Everyone leaves that door alone," Arthur whispered. His voice was hoarse. "Everyone knows the rules." "I know," Maya said quietly. "I'm sorry." But Arthur wasn't listening. He walked into the room slowly, like his legs weighed 1,000 pounds. He moved past Maya and walked to the music box on the dresser. He touched it with a trembling finger, and the broken music stopped. The silence was deafening. "It was hers," he whispered. "My daughter, Emily." The anger was gone. Only sadness was left, a sadness so deep it filled the room like water. Maya felt like she might drown in it. "She died 10 years ago," Arthur said. He didn't look at Maya. He stared at the music box. "A car accident. I was driving." Maya gasped. She covered her mouth with her hand. We had a fight that night, Arthur continued. His voice cracked. Tears began to roll down his weathered cheeks. About something stupid. A boy she liked. She wanted to go to a party. I said no. She yelled at me. I yelled back. He closed his eyes and the tears fell faster. I was so angry. I was driving her to her friend's house. I was yelling. I was driving too fast. And then the truck came out of nowhere. He couldn't finish the sentence. His whole body shook. She died instantly, he whispered. She was only 17. She had her whole life ahead of her. And I killed her. I killed my own daughter because I couldn't control my anger. Maya felt tears streaming down her own face now. I never forgave myself, Arthur choked out. I push everyone away because I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve kindness. I don't deserve love. I am a monster. I am the monster who killed his own child. He finally looked at Maya. His eyes were empty, destroyed. That's why I treated you like dirt, he said. Because I wanted you to hate me. I want everyone to hate me. Because that's what I deserve. This was the moment. Arthur Sterling, the cruel billionaire, was vulnerable. He was broken. He was admitting his deepest guilt. Maya could have walked away. She could have said, yes, you are a monster, and left him to rot in his big, empty house with his big, empty heart. She could have called him names. She could have told him he deserved every bit of loneliness he felt. But Maya remembered her sick brother. She knew what it felt like to be scared of losing someone you love. She knew what grief looked like. She walked up to the old man. She didn't bow. She didn't call him sir. She didn't treat him like a boss. She reached out and took his hand. His hand was cold and wrinkled and shaking. Hers was warm and rough from years of hard work. You are not a monster, Maya said firmly. She looked him straight in the eye. You are just a father who misses his baby. Arthur looked up, shocked. Nobody had spoken to him with kindness in 10 years. It was an accident, Arthur, she said, using his first name for the first time. Accidents happen. They are terrible and unfair, but they happen. You didn't kill her on purpose. You loved her. But I was angry, Arthur started. And she was angry too, Maya interrupted gently. That's what teenagers do. They fight with their parents. It's normal. It doesn't mean you didn't love each other. Arthur's face crumpled. Punishing me won't bring her back, Maya continued softly. And punishing yourself won't bring her back either. You've spent 10 years hating yourself, 10 years alone in this big house. Don't you think that's enough? Arthur fell to his knees. The powerful billionaire collapsed onto the dusty carpet of his daughter's room and sobbed like a child. He cried for 10 years of pain, 10 years of guilt, 10 years of loneliness. And Maya? She sat on the floor next to him. She put her arm around his shoulder, and she just sat there holding him while he cried. She didn't say anything else. She didn't need to. Sometimes people don't need words. They just need someone to sit with them in the dark. They sat there for almost an hour. James peeked in once, but Maya shook her head, and he quietly closed the door. Finally, Arthur's sobs slowed. He wiped his face with his sleeve. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry for how I treated you, for how I treated everyone. I know, Maya said simply. Why didn't you run away? Arthur asked. Why did you stay? Maya smiled sadly. Because I know what it's like to be scared. I know what it's like to love someone so much that losing them would break you. And I know what it's like to feel alone. Arthur looked at her. Really looked at her. Your brother, the medicine. Maya nodded. Arthur took a shaky breath. Will you stay? Will you give me a chance to be better? Maya thought about it. She thought about Leo. She thought about the money, but she also thought about the broken man sitting next to her. Yeah, she said, I'll stay. Things didn't change overnight, but they did change. The next morning, Arthur came down to breakfast for the first time in months. He sat at the table instead of hiding in his office. When Mrs. Chen brought him his eggs, he looked up at her. Thank you, Mrs. Chen, he said quietly. Mrs. Chen almost dropped the plate. Arthur Sterling had never said thank you. Not once in 5 years. You're welcome, sir, she stammered. Arthur stopped yelling. He started saying please and thank you. He asked people how their day was going. James almost fainted the first time Arthur asked about his grandchildren. The mansion started to feel different, warmer, less like a prison and more like a home. Arthur started opening the curtains. Sunlight poured into the dusty rooms for the first time in years. One day he called everyone into the main room. Maya, James, Mrs. Chen, and Marcus all stood nervously, wondering what was wrong. "I owe you all an apology," Arthur said. His voice was steady, but his eyes were wet. "I have treated you terribly. I've been cruel and unfair. You all deserve better, and I'm sorry." There was silence. Then James spoke up. "We forgive you, sir," James said with a smile. And just like that, the house began to heal. A few weeks later, Arthur noticed Maya looking at her phone during her break. She was sitting in the garden, and her face was worried, scared even. "What is it?" he asked gently. He had started joining her for afternoon tea. Maya hesitated. She had become friends with Arthur, but this was personal. "It's my brother Leo. The doctor called. He says the medicine isn't working anymore. He needs surgery, a blood transfusion, and a procedure to fix his heart valve." "How much does it cost?" Arthur asked. $40,000, Maya whispered. Her voice broke. "I've been saving, but I only have 8,000. I don't know what to do. The doctor says if we wait too long—" She couldn't finish. She started crying. Arthur didn't say a word. He stood up and walked to his study. Maya thought she had upset him. But 10 minutes later, he came back. He was holding his phone. "The surgery is scheduled for tomorrow," he said calmly. "The best pediatric surgeon in the city is flying in from Boston. The hospital has already been paid in full." Maya's eyes widened. She stood up so fast she knocked over her teacup. "But I can't pay you back. $40,000 I could never—" "You already did," Arthur interrupted. He smiled. It was a real smile this time, warm and genuine. "You saved me, Maya. You gave me my life back. You reminded me that I'm still human. You reminded me that Emily would want me to be kind, not cruel." Maya started crying again, but this time they were happy tears. "You can pay me back by letting me meet Leo," Arthur said softly. "I'd like to be there for the surgery, if that's okay." Maya nodded, unable to speak. She hugged him, and for the first time in 10 years, Arthur hugged someone back. The surgery went perfectly. Leo recovered quickly. He was strong and brave, and within 2 weeks, he was running around like a normal 9-year-old. Arthur visited him every single day in the hospital. He brought books and puzzles. He told Leo stories about his own daughter, Emily, and how she used to love horses and math competitions. Leo listened with wide eyes. "She sounds cool." "She was," Arthur said with a sad smile. "She would have liked you." When Leo was released from the hospital, Arthur had a surprise. He had set up a room in the mansion just for Leo. It had a big bed, a desk for homework, and shelves full of books and toys. "You don't have to stay in that tiny apartment anymore," Arthur said to Maya. "You and Leo can live here. You're family now," Maya cried. Again. She seemed to cry a lot these days, but they were good tears. Leo loved the mansion. He loved the big kitchen where Mrs. Chen let him help make cookies. He loved the library where James read him adventure stories. He loved the garden where Marcus taught him about plants. But most of all, he loved Arthur, and Arthur loved him back. Arthur Sterling became the grandfather Leo never had. He paid for Leo's school. He went to Leo's soccer games. He helped him with his homework. He gave Maya a raise and a promotion. She wasn't just a maid anymore. She was the house manager. But more importantly, she was his friend. The man who once held a shoe in anger now held the hands of the people he helped. One day, Arthur took Maya and Leo to visit Emily's grave. They brought flowers. Arthur knelt down and talked to the headstone. "I found a new family, sweetheart," he whispered. "I think you'd like them. And I think you'd want me to be happy. So I'm trying. I'm really trying." Maya put her hand on his shoulder. Leo placed a flower on the grave. And for the first time in 10 years, Arthur felt at peace. Maya could have reacted with anger. She could have sued him. She could have quit and told everyone what a monster he was. But she chose kindness. She chose to look past the anger and see the pain underneath. She chose compassion over revenge, understanding over judgment. And because of her reaction, a cold house became a home again. A sick boy got to live a full, healthy life. And a broken old man finally found peace. It just goes to show, sometimes the strongest weapon you have isn't shouting back. It's compassion. It's seeing the hurt behind the anger. Everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Sometimes all it takes is one person to show kindness. One person to say, I see your pain. And that one moment can change everything. Wow, what a journey, right? Now I want to hear from you. Be honest. If a boss screamed at you and humiliated you like Arthur did in the beginning, would you have forgiven him? Could you have sat on the floor and comforted him when he broke down? Or is some behavior just unforgivable? Type yes in the comments if you would forgive him, or no if you would have walked away forever. I really want to know what you think. Yeah, there's no wrong answer here. And here's another question. Have you ever seen someone's anger and realized it was really just pain? Tell me your story in the comments. If this story touched your heart, please do me a huge favor. Click that subscribe button for the Emotional Stories channel right now. Turn on the bell notification so you never miss a story. We share stories like this every single day. Stories that make you feel, make you think, and maybe even make you cry a little. Stories about real human emotion, real struggles, real hope. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. See you in the next story.